This podcast provides a platform that will share many different points of views that should empower you, uplift you, make you want to go out and do right. When you hear the term still a man, say, yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Let's go.
What's up, people? You are now tuned in to Still a Man podcast. It's Tuesday night, so y'all know what time it is. Let's get right to it. Tonight, we'll be talking about the aftermath of the insurrection. So, let's get a few things in place right now. We're going to put up some disclaimers. So, the views of the attendees, the participants, are the views of those and those alone. They no way define the platform or the podcast. So let's go ahead and get started. So you guys, you understand Congress is made up of two levels, and that is the House of Representatives and the Senators. The House of Representatives being the lower level, if my memory serves me well, and the senators being the upper level. So you have 100 senators and 435 representatives. And I think that's not even accounting for 5 other special people to sit on the panel, plus the Speaker of the House. Now, these individuals are they're in combat right now. They're disagreeing about everything. And that disagreement brought about what happened on January 6th, not to mention the 45th president, Donald Trump, was unwilling to concede to the election. He did not believe that they won the election fairly. He felt like that he was being cheated. Even before the election, Donald Trump took it upon himself to tell anybody and everybody that would listen that he was going to be cheated out of the election. Some people say that was paranoia. Some people said that was a glimpse into what was to come. So, how do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about the insurrection and the aftermath? And now they're having these discussions on, the hearing as to what they're going to do to prevent this from happening and how they're going to prosecute these individuals and prosecute those individuals, but at the same time, in hopes that they will persecute the 45th president, Donald Trump, AKA the Donald. So how do you guys feel like about that? Let's go to Patsy first.
Well, they should have prosecuted him sooner and quicker than what they have done. And stop playing games and do the right thing. Y'all know you were under attack when all those people came in to Congress when they was trying to do their work, and pretty much everybody in Congress was being freaking attacked. Including the vice president. So Trump know he was lying. And they need to get him right off, and what they need to do to prevent this. If it happens again, they need to prosecute and do this, whatever they gotta do, and working to try to get the president or whoever they incited this insurrection. They need to get together and jump on it sooner than what they did this last time. It doesn't take over a year to get this evidence. It was already evident. People were in that building when you were trying to work. Come on, be for real. This shit ain't funny.
Okay. Timmy? Timmy, you have the floor. How you feel about this insurrection and the aftermath? Okay, we're gonna come back to Timmy. Sean, you want to give us your perspective?
Yeah, that was pretty wild to know that the country could resort to this type of thing all over again. Like I sit back and sometimes when I think about what would have actually happened had they actually confronted or were able to see some of the actual people that they claimed they were looking for. You know, would it have really gone to that extreme that they would have physically hurt these folks? I know they were in the building, but I mean, I wonder if like their true intentions were to really physically harm these individuals. And as far as like the aftermath, like the process of what they're going through as trying to get down to the bottom of this whole thing, I can't wait to see what the outcome's going to be.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get one of our newer members. Deli, you ready to share?
Sure. I don't really get into politics like that though, because it's politics and those big people are not really, us little people are not affected as much as we think. Our voices are not heard. I particularly think that we're living in our last days. I think Trump started something. He didn't just start that insurrection, but he started some division, some angry, the changing of minds of young people. You know, he inserted more of the KKK. He just roused that all up. You know, I, from the very beginning, didn't understand why he was allowed to ridicule and make like public comments about people, whether they were Democrats or Republicans, you know what I mean? Like he got away with so much from the beginning. And so to allow him to get this far and still murmur about it, what should we do? Well, this is unusual. Well, we've never experienced this before. No, it's like a big joke to me. You understand? And so it's scary. That's how I know we living in Revelations, baby, because after Trump, they call Sleepy Joe. He's not going to do another term. What does the country of U.S. really have to look up to? Who are we looking up to now? You know?
Okay, well said. Let's get another man's point of view. Bird, you want to jump in?
Well, I'm not big on politics. I kind of stay out of that situation. But, you know, at the end of the day, we have the right to vote. Many people did not vote, which gave Trump the ballot to vote, to get voted in. So, you know, we reap what we sow. They predicted this as a joke 20-something years ago, and it's come to pass. I try to kind of stay out of this whole politics situation.
Okay. Tanya. Now, let me go ahead and give credit where credit is due. Tanya felt like this was something that needed to be discussed. She felt like this is something that this panel could handle and do with class and taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you have your say on this, Tanya.
Okay. What was the question? I want to make sure that I answer this the way it needs to be answered.
So we basically want to know how you feel about the aftermath, the insurrection. The aftermath of the insurrection and these how these trials have how the trial has started.
Okay, so the insurrection. I used to be one of those people. I think we talked about this. I used to be one of those people that just would vote according to how my family voted. My family has always voted Democrat, so that's the way that I would vote. I would always pay too much attention to the politics because I kind of felt like the other young lady that, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do to begin with. But when I saw Trump get elected into the White House, I couldn't believe it because this man is outwardly racist. He's he's a thief. He only thinks about himself. Anything that he does is for his pocket. It's not for the people. It's not for the people. It's only for his pocket. Trump was the face of all the people that are out there that had animosity towards us towards women getting the right to vote, towards colored minorities getting the right to vote, towards America changing to begin with. He just allowed them to come out and openly speak about it and be about it. If you notice, we always had issues with the police and African Americans, the young men, the women, people of color. We always had that issue with them. But if you notice that when Trump became president and he said to them, I said, hit him harder, you know, that little line he said about when the police has arrested someone and they're trying to get them in the car. Don't be nice, just knock them up against the car. But, you know, basically brutalize them. And the escalation went further and further and further. And the Republicans, they get their money from the NRA for their lobbying, for their campaigns. So they was allowing the NRA to tell them what to vote on and what not to vote on in regards to gun violence.
Yes.
This man had a plan. He knew that he was going to lose the election. People already didn't care for him. So when he was going against Joe Biden, he already knew that he was going to lose the election. His people told him that it didn't look good for him. But he set the tone way in the summertime, forget the summertime, 2016, when he was saying that the elections were rigged, because he didn't think he was going to win in 2016.
He knew the election was rigged. He called it rigged because he was working with the Russians. The Russians helped him win.
Exactly.
Okay. Hold on 1 second, Timmy. We're gonna come right back to you. Let's let Tanya finish. Go ahead, Tanya.
Yes. So he already knew that he was working in between to put the election in his favor. So he was calling it rigged in 2016 and carried it over to 2020, telling people not to vote by mail because he knew that that's what we did. The Democrats, most of us voted by mail, and they put that into place because of the pandemic. We were the ones that were dying mostly by the hundreds from the pandemic because of our health issues, the African-American health issues. So he was telling his people not to vote by mail because they was rigging it for the Democrats. And he was part of the reason why most of the Republicans didn't vote by mail. They went out and stood in line to vote. So him and his people had those plans set in motion. These hearings revealed a 7-point plan for him to overturn the election. They're trying to attack our democratic way of voting. That's what the democracy is founded on. That's the foundation of democracy, us being able to have a free and fair election and a peaceful transfer of power. They went all out onslaught against that to underline it because he has a fascination with dictatorship. He wants to be able to be in charge like these other countries over here and stay in power forever and ever because it's all about money for him. When he lost the election, he started a grift, meaning that he's swindling his people, that his supporters, to send him money for a legal fund that it didn't even go to the legal fund. They was putting it in their pockets, $250 million.
Yep.
To go to fight this election in courts that they already knew was false.
Well
So
said.
he got those people amped up and telling them you got to fight, you're going to lose your country. They already think that the country belongs to just them. They don't want us to have an equal share. The Constitution says, justice for all. So
let's just call it what it is. Let's just call a spade a spade.
What call it?
He's a con artist. He conned everybody from Jump Street.
Yeah.
Khan people thinking that he was this big time tycoon in the business. Yeah, your name was because of all the slickly slide stuff you was doing, undercover, bullying, and your whole charade is tie people up into court because they don't have the money to fight you. So you tie things up into court because you got the money. And from Jump Street, this dude ain't did nothing but con everybody. All those politicians call him con, but then they jumped on him. Wait a minute, he might got something here. So they all started backing him. But those who's backing him and those who was doing crooked things behind the scenes for him, they all fall. If you look at everybody that dealt with him, how they all fall. His lawyers, Cindy Powell, Rudy Giuliani, the other dude, the other guy. And then not only that, none of the big time, he got some small time lawyers, no name lawyers. They ain't nobody. All the big time people said, man, I ain't touching that. This dude's crazy. He don't know what he's doing, and I'm not gonna let him ruin my career just to get him where he want to be, because he don't care about you. He don't care. You sacrifice yourself for him. That's what he wants you to sacrifice yourself for him. He don't care what you put on the line, as long as you sacrifice it for him. And they all are starting to see now that he's no good. He's all about himself, which they knew it. They knew it all along. But he kept on tying things up in court. See, the only reason why they didn't get Bender got him is because he became president. They were on his trail. That's why he went in. So his tax forms and stuff, lying. So his first lawyer, Roy Combs, was a monster. He was a dominating dude when it came to the law business. So that's what Trump was looking for. He had it in Michael Cohen, but Michael Cohen got caught up, and so he decided to turn on him. Just like his daughter and son-in-law, he's upset. His kids are upset with him now because he done flew through their inheritance.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and get Josie. You still with us?
Yeah, Isaac here. I never was a Trump supporter. I don't really pay too much attention to the back and forth stuff. However, I did turn on the news the other day and see. First, I wanted to say, Tanya, I mean, to the money, to the point, you're all over it. Okay. But what I've seen it on the news, just to support and piggyback off of what Tanya was saying, he stole from these people. Like, where's the money that you was collecting to supposedly run or fight for whatever you was fighting for, Trump? And then the believers, the followers, the justification of doing their behaviors that they displayed that day, it's crazy. Like, you're literally sitting there debating, was this an action because of what Trump said? It's like, you should have already prosecuted those people anyway. I don't understand. If it was any other situation, skin color, I'm thinking, and I'm going to say skin color, people would have already been prosecuted. People were already put where they belonged and held accountable for whatever actions they displayed on that day.
They would have been dead.
And if that was Barack Obama, or just say a person of color, or different race, other than what race it was, as the dictator, I think that person would have been prosecuted too by now. So I just think that what Patsy said, enough is enough, you know, handle them already because they should have already been handled. There's nothing to really talk about. You got footage showing these people acting like animals. And the justification is that they're trying to steal our country. Excuse me?
Right?
That's all I got to say on it.
All right, let's get G. Give us your opinion.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and be the wild card. If you know me, you know how I feel about this situation. So I disagree with half the people on the panel. Even though I don't like politics and stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and quote Franklin D. Roosevelt. Presidents are selected, not elected. So anything that you're seeing is more of a circus. Trump is the face for whatever they wanted him to fall for. Biden is going to be the face for whatever they want him to fall for. And I'm going to go ahead and say that what happened to being innocent until proven guilty? Because I'm pretty sure that this man said he had nothing to do with their hostile takeover.
There's a lot of people that say they had nothing to do with it, but they did.
Hillary Clinton said she didn't have nothing to do with those emails neither.
All right, Robbie, you want to jump in there?
Not so much, but I will say this. When Sean did bring up, he would have hate to see what may happen if they got their hands on some of the congressmen or the politicians or leaders that was in that building that day. I'm gonna say I believe that they probably was gonna take them hostage. If they wasn't going to kill them, break their necks, we was going to see something terrible on TV. Believe that. The only thing we didn't see was Donald Trump coming on our screen and putting on a white hood over his head and saying, "Let's ride."
Yeah.
And with that being said, so a lot of people believe that he was the puppeteer. He was the person pulling the strings. He is the individual that incited the riot. He is the one that put the batteries in these individuals' backs. He was the driving force behind them that told them to push forward. Onward we go. I think we even got footage of what they believe incited the crowd. Tech person, go ahead and roll that first video.
Hides evidence. Criminals hide evidence, not honest people. So, over the next 10 days, we get to see the machines that are crooked, the ballots that are fraudulent, and if we're wrong, we will be made fools of. But if we're right, a lot of them will go to jail. So, let's have trial by combat.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections, but whether or not they stand strong for our country. Our country has been under siege for a long time.
We are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis. Recent polling shows that 39% of Americans believe the election that just occurred, quote, was rigged. You may not agree with that assessment, but it is nonetheless a reality for nearly half the country.
Madam Speaker, I have constituents outside this building right now. I promised my voters to be their voice. In this branch of government, which I now serve, it is my separate but equal obligation to weigh in on this election and object. Are we not a government of, by, and for the people? They know that this election is not right, and as their representative, I am sent here to represent them. I will not allow the people to be ignored. Madam Speaker, it is my duty under the U.S. Constitution to object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Arizona. The members who stand here today and accept the results of this concentrated, coordinated, partisan effort by Democrats, where every fraudulent vote cancels out the vote of an honest America, has sided with the extremist left. The United States Congress needs to make an informed decision, and that starts with this objection.
You are familiar with our hardware aisle, but did you know online the Home Depot has a sofa aisle and a throw pillow aisle? We have endless aisles and free delivery. So get your home made with furniture and decor from HomeDepot.com.
Okay, guys. So how do you feel about that on video? There you have it. We have our 45th president, and we have some members of the Republican Party. Go ahead, Timmy.
If you listen to them, listen to what they're saying. We believe. They have never produced any evidence. This was lying to people. Just kept on like Trump was doing about telling them he's gonna fight the courts and this and that. We're gonna take it. You had 61 cases that went to Supreme Court, and they shot every last one of those cases down. Every last one of them. So from jump, you can see that it was all a lie. It was a lie, and he was amping those people that because he knew that he can get these people rallied behind him to say, because they believe anything he says, you know, his base, he can rile them up. He knew, and then on the when they had the presidential debate, the second one, he couldn't denounce white supremacists.
The Proud Boys.
He never wanted to mention their names. But then you heard what he said: stand by and stand down, stand by. So that means he's telling them, don't move until I tell you to. And then so the day of the damn they doing the counting the electors and whatnot. The day of that, he had them come to the White House, but the Proud Boys was already on their way there too. They were already down there at the White House while he had these other people at the White House. The Proud Boys were on their way to the Congress. You know, they were already setting up to make their move.
Let me add to that. I was watching it on TV. If you remember, there was some of the members of the Proud Boys that was going through the desk of the Congress of the senators looking for the ballots to try to take the ballots because they had the electors create some false ballots that went towards Trump, and they wanted to replace those with the actual certified ballots. And if you remember, one of them looked at the paper and said, I knew this MF Cruz wasn't on our side. So it was all planned.
That just goes to show you that whatever he's saying, he's trying to, deflect it and say, oh, nah, but if you watch, Trump has always been a liar. He's been lying when he was on his apprentice. He was lying when he had his so-called college. He was stealing. He's stealing from his organization. He's just a plain outright thief. That's all he is, a con artist and a thief. That's all he is.
Okay. Sean, you want to jump in?
Hold on. Trying to turn my mic off. All right. Yeah, I agree with pretty much jump back over to what Gregory was saying. I pretty much chime in on what he said because we're looking at the proceedings now, and the reason why things are moving what we consider moving slow because we're looking at evidence and this and the other, but there's a process to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to be patient and see what the process is, how this thing plays out. But looking at that last clip that you just showed, and it kind of almost, if you look at it, it almost puts Trump almost not at fault based off of what you showed, because he says that I know that our guys are going to go down there in a peaceful protest. So he called out peaceful protest. And if that's the only clip that's ever shown that doesn't show anything else that indicate him sending them down there on a rampage, because he actually used the word peaceful. So we got it like it's like that they're gonna go together and try to see how this whole process works out, man.
Can I chime on to that?
Go ahead.
He also said we don't give up the fight. So you have to take that how as I'm saying this for presentation to cover my behind, but we're going to fight. He also said, I'm going there with you. And he let them people go because he knew he wasn't going down there. He knew what they intended. First of all, I got a lot to say. I'm going to try to keep it small.
The floor is yours.
He did not do this alone. He was the shield that everybody who wanted the country to, because the Republicans cannot win it, an election. It's been proven that they cannot win an election fairly. They have to cheat, scheme, lie, and coerce in order to get there. So these people have had power for the last 10 or 15 years. They do not want to lose their power. So they would use any symbol or anybody who would keep them where they are. That's why there's a lot of them who ask for pardons. You don't ask for a pardon if you haven't done anything wrong.
That's right. That's right.
So there's a lot of people hopefully that are going down. The problem is if we don't do something, this just sets the standard that we can keep, that anybody who doesn't like it can say that this wasn't fairly done. They want to protest. So if they don't nip it in the bud now, where our democracy is headed towards the toilet.
Yes.
Secondly, the same people who back him are the same quote unquote Christian people. And you have to wonder, are you really Christian if you don't believe in abortion, but you believe in the death penalty? You don't believe in this, but you believe that, Black people should be killed out in the streets. So therefore, I'm wondering what God you believe in, because the same God that I read about would not even have you choose a person like Trump. So for you to say he's our savior and he's this and he's that, I have to wonder, what God are you looking at? Because we don't need the same God.
Can I say this about the Christian thing? They definitely was supporting him because they try to remove the religious things out of school and education. So Trump was boosting religion and education. So they might have been supporting. That makes sense.
He knows who he knows who to grip. He knows who to do. If I can stroke the evangelistic people and believing that I believe the same as them,
I don't know if
Support.
he's any savior or if he didn't. I'm just telling you why they was
No,
really backing
there
him.
have been people on national television that said he is our savior. He
Yes.
is he is the he is the chosen one.
All
Right.
you,
Do you
all
Yeah.
you
understand why
have to
they was?
do.
Do you
This is
understand why
this
they were
is who
saying
Trump.
that?
This is who Trump is serving. The enemy. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Well,
ahead.
that is a
He's a
crazy thing
liar.
to
He's
say
a
when we live
thief.
in a democracy made by pilgrims and they killed, steal, and they made you follow their laws and everything. That's crazy.
Kiana,
Go
you
ahead,
know why
Sean.
they were saying what they were saying
Why?
to Kiana when they said that he's our savior, he's that da da da. What Trump came in and was doing and who he portrayed himself to be is exactly what a good majority of people, you know that saying that we always say, oh man, you were saying what I was thinking.
Yes,
He was the mouthpiece to a lot of people who
Mm-hmm.
feel that way.
absolutely.
And what we have to understand also about this, when he said that the election was stolen, this, and the other, he wasn't talking about the whole entire election. He was only centering certain cities, which happens to be dominated by us of color.
Yes.
It was only 4 cities that he wanted that he was actually looking for a recount in. And so what it is what Trump has accomplished and what he has portrayed is what all politicians have done since the beginning of time.
Yes.
All about power. It's all about power. And
That's
they
right.
know that in maybe the next 20, 30 years, the white people are going to be what they call the minority. They're going to be the minority, but they're okay with being a minority as long as they can still have the power.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it's all about for them.
That's the truth right there, Sean.
That is the truth. They said that if they win this election, they'll be in charge for 100 years. So
Yes, sir. Because for those of us who say, and this is, trust me, this is no knock on anybody, but for those of us who say that we don't follow the politics or get involved in this, that, and the other, this is the majority of us that move like that is the reason why the world is the way that it is.
It is. You're right.
Because
I
we don't
concur.
because it, even though we put so much emphasis on the presidency and this, that, and the other, our laws that cater to us goes to our state legislators, our representatives, like the things that people that we see every day that represent us in our own states. Those are the ones, really, to be honest with you, that are really, really important to us.
Yeah.
Presidency, they help you get the money, they help you get the grants and stuff like that.
Yeah. Local elections are important, just as national presidential elections are important, and I mean, you know, the people who say it doesn't pertain to me. It pertains to every aspect of your life. It pertains to the money that we're spending on gas, everything. So people who say that they're not political or they don't believe in it, I always tell them it has something to do with every pocket on your body has something to do with politics in some fashion.
I think that's
the president only has,
people are not educating people on that portion of it. You know, I believe people are well educated on when it's time to get out there and vote for your president. But what about the mayor? What about the council? What about all of those small people that people are considering small but play?
Yeah, but they got real
big
power.
part of it.
They play a big part, and that's the part that I don't think is being educated or emphasized on out there in your community. So we sitting here on this podcast saying, you know, I don't really pay attention to it, you know, but when it gets down and dirty and it's time to pay attention to it, you start doing your research. You start looking into what these people, who they are and what they are,
what they believe in,
and what they're going to bring forth, you know, and do you put trust in what they're saying? You know, me off with Trump, I look at him as the apprentice, you know what I mean? And it's like, you're fired, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
I couldn't take him serious in that show. So it kind of reflected on who I was voting for to be the president. And I'm like, I didn't like him on The Apprentice. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like his swag. I didn't like the way he treated people. I didn't like the way he spoke. So is this how he's going to be and that's how he was, I felt like.
Exactly.
Let
So
me say
you
this
guys-
piece, and I'll relinquish the floor to you guys.
Go ahead.
Back to what Josie said when we talk about our local politicians and this and the other. Believe it or not, that is more important to us than the actual president.
Exactly, and I don't think that people are educating us as a whole on those important factors. I feel like that's not really paid attention to. I mean, you said it yourself. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. They don't even teach civics no more, I don't think.
No.
No, they don't teach civics no more.
I want to get Robert and Bird back in the conversation. Bird, what are your views on this? I mean, can you take a stance? Okay, we'll come back to Bird. Sean, you want to finish your thought? All right, Bird, go ahead, and then Sean. Go ahead, Bird.
Again, here's my take, and everybody has their right to an opinion. You know, I'm living in the reality of I'm paying my bills and I'm working, and I'm paying my taxes and I'm getting by, you know? To worry myself politically what's going on in the presidential stuff, you know, I'll vote and take my part. I take my part and vote in local elections, senators, Congress, council, districts, whatever I'm in. I try to share my views by, you know, again, I believe we elect who we want in. Whoever's in, you don't like it, you voted them in, it's on you. We had to reap what we sow, you know? No one imagined we were going to get a black president, and we got a black president for 2 terms. So if it is all about presidents are chosen and not elected, I don't believe they were choosing to have a black president. So we did it, and we voted that in, not once, but twice. So that was our, you know, coming together as a people to put in office who we want. Same thing with Trump. Many people didn't even vote, which made it even worse. I ain't voting. I don't like none of them, so I ain't gonna vote at all.
That's true, Bird. That's true.
That was the biggest problem. Oh, I don't like neither one of them. Fuck that. Excuse my language. Sorry. I'm not voting at all. So that was the biggest downslip, how Trump slipped in. Trump got a little help from Russia or whatever, you know, but again, at the end of the day, we voted him in and we voted him out. And the presidents don't have as much power as people think. They have to pass a lot of stuff through the Congress.
That's right.
To get voted, and it can get vetoed, and all of this stuff plays a part. So, you know, the presidents aren't as powerful as we think they are, but again,
they become powerful when you have a whole party that's being just as corrupt as he is.
Can I say this about what Bird just said?
There's people that are making a lot of money, and they're voting for Trump. We got all these rappers that are getting all these tax breaks from the millions they're making. They voted for Trump. And these are the people we glorify. We buy their music. We watch their movies. We do all this stuff to support these people that actually supported this man. They're trying to shut a whole country out. Goya got shut out because they believed in Trump. Many places don't even sell their product here because of that. So, you know, we dictate what we get. You know, we are a democratic society where we are allowed to vote. We are allowed to make change. We have laws in place that certain things can't happen to us as a people. So any new laws or old laws are all brought in by people. What we want, we can protest. We have the right to assembly. We have a right to vote. We have many rights in the Constitution that can decide democracy. So let's get it. If you don't like it, then vote against it. If you don't vote at all, then I heard Sean saying some of those people are the biggest problem. So you are the problem if you choose not to vote.
Okay, you know what?
And to what Bird was saying about the rappers.
Wait a minute, Timmy, before you go any further, I just want to let Sean finish his thought because he got cut off. Go ahead, Sean.
I apologize, but I apologize, and I won't reiterate because Bird finished exactly down the line of where I was going with it.
Okay.
So thank you for that, Bird.
Can
All
I
right,
add on to
Real
that?
quick, shout out to Sean, right? I was in the laundromat on the phone. Young brother came up to me and was like, yo, I don't know you, but I know your voice, your Bird. And I was like, hell yeah. That was the dopest interaction. I met Sean in person and it was dope. Shout out to Big Sean.
Oh, thank you,
Can
sir.
I add on to that?
Go
Where
ahead, Jensen.
a lot of people do not vote, and that is a problem. They don't. And I got this quote: "A vote is not a Valentine's. You are not professing your love for the candidate. It's a chess move for the world you want to live in."
Woo!
Get it?
I like that.
Oh, that should be a shirt.
Kiana, you know
Yeah.
what you got to do. You know what you got to do. I see,
You stole it from somebody. Cut it out.
This is what I'm telling you guys. Y'all said y'all don't have an opinion. My people, y'all be dropping Jews. And Gregory, I promise I'm coming right back to you. So go ahead, Gregory. You got the floor.
I was gonna say with the selected, not elected thing, you gotta pay attention to the patterns, connect the dots, because you had George Bush Sr., then you had Bill Clinton, then you had George Bush, and of course they'll give you an Obama now because the world's all messed up. But even to go into it, if you look into the presidents, you start to realize that most of these people are related. They're third cousins or one cousin removed from a cousin. If you look into it, you'll find out how much power the presidents really have over the circus that they're portraying. And I wanted to say for the Constitution needs to be thrown out and written over because it was created in a time where it was created in a time where there were people that were looked at as 3/4 of a man. And then you have us trying to get into the Constitution and the laws and the politics. And we were never wanted. We were never wanted in this system. So if you think that they're ever gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna let these people come right in because we asked for it or we marched for it and we didn't actually fight for it. We need to fight to change the whole system. So I didn't see nothing wrong when the white folks went to the White House to rebel for this. This is things that we should be able to do, but we can't even do that.
Nope.
So let me touch base on a few things. So we'll go back to religion where y'all was talking about what type of Christian are they and stuff. I'll tell you what type of Christians they are. It's been brought to my attention for those of you that have good vision, was when Trump was holding the Bible, how was he holding the Bible?
Down. Yeah, upside down.
So that should tell you a lot.
He's not for real.
That should tell you a lot about who he represents. You know,
let me say something real quick to Gregory. They didn't give us Obama. The people voted him in. That's what their vote
I was
is.
speaking from quoting a politician where they say that president. I was quoting the president, actually, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Presidents are selected, not elected.
Yeah.
Right. They are selected. The people have the power. And to Burns about the rappers was using him just like Putin and Benzine and Ken Jin. They was using him. Kanye, people didn't know Kanye. People thought that Kanye was rolling with President Trump. No, he wasn't rolling with him. He was just doing it to have him sign off on some law, to transfer some law so Larry Hoover can possibly get out. That's what he was doing. That's why he was rocking the MAGA hat and sitting down with President Trump.
So let me say this to you guys. You know, in that last video that we showed, I don't think it did anything to paint Donald Trump as a villain. I agree with Sean. I think he chose his words very carefully. I think the other individuals that were speaking on that platform, they were a little bit more reckless. I think Trump was fully aware of what might transpire after that rally. and he chose his words carefully.
That's right.
We're gonna go ahead to the next video, because after all of this happened, the world wanted to know what was next, and this is what took place after that. Tech person, go ahead and roll the next video.
Josie voted for Trump.
This Thursday will mark the anniversary of the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. The images that day shocked the country. Supporters of then-President Trump assaulting police officers as they stormed the Capitol on a mission to stop the certification of Joe Biden's victory in the presidential election. Trump's own vice president was rushed away to safety as members of Congress hid, huddled, and prayed. It was a dark day for the country, and as the year since has shown us, for the institution of Congress. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Leanne Caldwell has our Sunday focus.
The attack on the Capitol has had damaging and long-lasting ramifications.
Did this play a role in your decision not to run?
Yeah. For Sherry Bustos, who has served for 10 years, January 6th convinced her that a tough re-election campaign was not worth it.
Most of my interaction that day was with my family. They are just saying, it's time to go. And my husband said, I don't see it getting better out there.
In the hours after January 6th, Congress returned to the chamber that night, determined to certify the election.
The tellers will announce the votes.
But the optimism was short-lived. 139 House Republicans still objected to two states' electors. And since then, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say Congress has deteriorated.
What happened from January 6th on is this strengthening of spreading the lies.
Congress is broken and the country sees it.
Undoubtedly.
Okay, guys. So, how do you feel about that? I mean, you heard what the man said. Congress is broken and the country sees it. Is this what you guys are speaking of? Do you agree or do you disagree?
Let me say this. Congress was broken before January 6th. January 6th just put the light on it. And these Congress people used January 6th as a cover to start passing with a big lie, to start passing these laws against voting rights, against Roe versus Wade. They started putting these laws into action about voter suppression, all based on the lie.
I like that. Sean?
Yeah, I concur with what Sister Tanya said. It definitely, this stuff has always been in effect.
Hey, did you guys hear about that store online? One Stop Shop? EmporiumPlus.org. Go over there now, where you can find the latest fashions and the Dr. Parrish Youth Serum, Still a Man, a Dr. Parrish Ladies First, SOS Support Our Sisters, and Envy Forever. Go, gravitate to the fashions that will make you look better.
Has children underneath 5 years old, you're awake and trying to make ends meet and stuff like this, and it's crazy, especially baby formula. Come on, that's a lifeline of infants. If you're not breastfeeding, that is the lifeline. Which then that baby is getting in the formula is nutrition. So you're actually trying to kill our children. Just like what that dictator in Russia is doing to Ukraine, killing out bombing the hospitals for women and children.
You're not only going to have babies, you're going to have to now breastfeed the babies as well. It's like your choice is about to be limited.
For
So
sure.
am I?
That's not always
So
the
am
case.
That's
That
a good
doesn't
thing,
happen.
y'all, because remember they took the baby away from the mother's breast and put him on the Similac.
I mean, some women just can't breastfeed. Period. That has nothing.
That's right. That's all I told you.
So am I to understand you guys are saying this is the aftermath of, this is the results of the Capitol building siege, the siege of the Capitol, or the attempt to siege the Capitol building? Because from what they're saying is reports that it was the damage to the Capitol building, and the Capitol building alone, the damage was $1.5 million dollars worth of damage. This wasn't about what it did to the rest of the country. These are the numbers that were geared towards the damage of the Capitol building in itself. I want to know, all this going on, what role, again, I want to know, what role did the politicians play in this, meaning the Republicans? What role did Donald Trump play in this? And what role did the Trump supporters, how did they affect the world? And what are the after effects? What is aftermath?
Some 130 damn Republicans that still try to, stop the voting count. You see what they stand by. They stand by him. Those 100 and something people,
138
Republicans. Those people are the ones, they're going to be going after them too. Watch. They're going to go after them.
So remember,
they
guys,
got away.
There are 435 members of the House. There are 100 Senate members, right? So 138 Republicans voted in Trump's favor. What happened to all the rest that voted against him? Why is it still that they have that much favor? Somebody speak on that.
Well, I'm gonna say this: like in the House,
they didn't have no favor.
In the House, the Democrats have a slim majority. So a lot of the bills that they put in place for the country, it can pass in the House, but it passes on a partisan basis because all the Republicans boycott it, and the Democrats can pass it because they have a slim majority. Now, when it gets to the Senate is where it's a 50-50 type of situation. And if all of them block it, then you have those two Democrats, Sinema and Manchin, that call themselves being friends with their friends on the other side of the aisle. I think that Manchin is, he's a Republican undercover.
Yep.
Because he is in a Republican state. He has a oil company. I personally believe that
his daughter is into the pharmaceutical company. Go ahead.
Yes, that's Sinema. Yeah, so they're voting against what Joe Biden wants to do. There's been economists that says that if his Build Back Better Act would have passed, it would have helped with inflation. It would have helped inflation down. But because they didn't pass it, inflation is out of order. These Republican companies, these people who have all the money that are really Republican by nature, is putting things in motion to keep all the chaos going, where Joe Biden got to be here, there, and everywhere. It's affecting the people so that they can stay in power and they don't have to pay them taxes, because he's about taxing the rich.
You know what? I feel like that you guys need a little more like insight, a little more proof. Tech person, let's see that next video.
We want Trump! 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 We want Trump!
January 6th is seared in America's conscience. The ongoing criminal investigation, one of the largest in U.S. history.
It's not just a stain, it's not just an embarrassment, and we absolutely should not just move on.
In the last year, more than 700 Americans have been arrested from nearly every state. More than 30 have been sentenced to prison so far, with more on the way. Like Jennifer Ryan, who took a private plane from Texas to Washington a year ago and said storming the Capitol was the best day of her life.
Hello everyone, it's me, Jenna.
Then boasted she'd never go to jail because she's white, blonde, and has a great job. She was wrong. Her 30 days in jail starts this week.
And the only thing that I can see that's good about having to go to prison is that I'm going to be able to work out a lot.
Then there's Paul Hodgkins, a Florida crane operator who got 8 months in jail after pleading guilty to obstruction. Robert Palmer got 5 years, the longest to date, for resisting and assaulting officers. And who could forget Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, beginning 41 months in prison even while admitting he messed up royally. Many Americans would like to think January 6th was a one-off, a horrible, violent day that wouldn't happen again. But Chuck Rosenberg, a former senior FBI official, says the threat is still there.
There are some who think that what happened on January 6th, and I'm one of them, was appalling, repulsive, and there are some who think that what happened on January 6th was insufficient and will continue, I believe, to articulate that Joe Biden is an invalid president, that Donald Trump should be returned.
A new poll taken in late December suggests 62% of Americans now expect violence over the outcome of future presidential elections. Another poll that 34% of Americans believe violence against the government is justified. 1 year on, there's a mound of data on who stormed the Capitol.
So, guys, how do you feel about this video? I mean, I want to know how you feel about these individuals. How do you feel about how these individuals are being dealt with? Let's talk about Miss Ryan. How do y'all? Yeah, let's go ahead. Go ahead.
This one here. I mean, I don't feel like they got enough time because to me, these little short little months are not a deterrent for the next person who thinks what they did, they didn't do enough. They didn't go further enough. So I now have to go further than they do. So if you're trying to deter people from doing something and you give them basically a slap on the wrist, a little shaking of the finger wag, no, you shouldn't have did that. That's not enough to make other people be like, second guess their decision. And that whole her working out. Yeah, I hope she works out with a Bertha, because that whole what is that word called? That entitledness, that privilege crap just gets on my nerves.
Yeah. So Patsy, go ahead and speak on Miss Jenna Ryan's.
That's the one with the 2-week sentence, right? It's like
no, 30 days.
30 days. 30 days.
What the heck is 30 days? That's a bullshit. Excuse my language. That is so BS. Like, if it was someone that was broke, black, brown, whatever, we be getting a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It wouldn't even be 30 days.
More like 30 months.
What's that? That's you just slapping my hand. Or her hand, really. That's nothing.
That's what it was meant to be. A slap on the wrist. I mean, like, seriously, people sell drugs, and I'm not justifying them. They sell drugs to be able to support, you know, their families, to do whatever it is. You know, people steal because they're trying to support their family, whatever. These people intentionally went over there to destroy a building that is supposed to be well respected. And you got what? And you bragged about it? because you were what?
Uh-huh.
Privileged? And you
What
got
happened
what?
to join a benching?
And you got what? I'm good. I'm just saying, if it was someone else of color, I just don't. Yeah, 30 days. I'm still stuck on people going to jail for 5
I
years
mean,
for something small.
let me ask you, how many blacks did you see at the damn at the
Zero.
at the Capitol?
There was a few. There was a few.
You're not black no more, right?
Let me. All the
Black
sentences
people.
were like just crazy. I mean, like again, this is supposed to be an important building that should be protected, and they were acting like animals, like
Am
climbing
I the
walls.
only one that feels like the
Doing that.
world is a stage with this shit? Is this the Truman Show?
I never
Aren't they?
watched that
Because
movie.
I
I don't
remember
like
our
that.
last conversation about the mass shootings. We were talking about them trying to entice a race war. This is perfect out of the playbook for people to get mad and to look at a race card. When in all actuality, if they were a different race, they would have never been getting sentenced. They would have got shot to death.
They would have never made it past the first step. They would have
They
all
would have
been
never
dead.
made it.
No.
Exactly. But you notice, like, with, like, it was like a bunch of white people rallying. The police count was down.
That was
But
premeditated.
exactly. But if there was a peace protest on Black Lives Matters, do you know how many police there was? Like, and you know, the year before, every rally they had for Black Lives Matter, how many police did they have compared to January 6th?
And they
it
did.
was almost nothing January 6th.
But that's all part of the plan. See, Trump knew
Exactly.
that that's what was going on. That's why they had minimal police protection.
Yes,
For
because
that
he
Capitol
knew
for
it was
them to
going
get
to
up in
happen.
there. And
He knew it was going to happen.
if they would have got their hands on who they was talking about, they would have killed them because they had gallows for Mike Pence out there talking about hang Mike Pence. If they would have got their hands on
the tree,
he would have hung them. They would have hung them.
Yeah. They knew exactly what was happening because Trump met with one of the Proud Boy leaders and another member of another supremacy group 6 days before this rally. So they knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And the night hold on, the night before, the leader of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers met in the garage.
Yep.
So it was planned.
You see, it was orchestrated. It was greatly orchestrated. You had people scaling the building, coming down on ropes, rappelling down. They had targets. They knew entry points. It was strategic. It was a well thought out plan. And if you think about the people that had this up, you talk about their meetings. They met in garages and dark alleys and stuff like that.
They met in Trump. They met in Trump in his hotel room called the War Room. They had a room, a hotel room that they named the War Room when they was going up in their meeting.
His Washington Facebook and hotel.
Okay, now, do you believe that any of these people are basically remorseful? Do you feel like that?
Absolutely not.
Nah.
Okay.
No, they're only remorseful they got caught and maybe had to do a little bit of time. Other than that, there's no remorse, and they're planning for their next action going forward.
I mean, because look at what happened in Idaho.
Okay, so let me tell you guys this. There is somebody that believes that they are remorseful. Tech person, go ahead and introduce everybody to this individual.
All gonna be up here. We're gonna go down and storm the Capitol.
USA!
We're all gonna be up here. We're gonna be breaking those windows.
This was Jenna Ryan 1 year ago.
No, you cannot take our country!
A real estate broker in Dallas, she was invited to ride on a private jet to D.C.
If it comes down to war, guess what? I'm going to be there.
Recording and live streaming it all.
Life or death, it doesn't matter.
Those videos became evidence for prosecutors, and in December, she was preparing for prison.
In your letter to the judge, you said you deeply regret entering the Capitol that day.
Yes.
Do you regret it now as you sit here?
Absolutely, yeah.
She seems to be very driven, and to me, she seems to be one of the spokespersons. She stays out in front of the camera. She also let everybody know.
2 minutes and 8 seconds.
You were in the U.S. Capitol, the legislative branch of our government.
Right.
And you say you're a proud American.
Right.
I think it's hard for people to reconcile why you thought it was okay to march up the steps and go inside at all.
So to march up the steps, to me, I didn't notice any barricades. I came in after the fact.
But you can tell there were broken windows, right? In fairness,
well,
couldn't
hang on.
you tell?
I didn't really, you don't really notice. You're just walking up and we're just like, and there's a bunch of people. You're more focused on people.
Had you seen the violence, what would you have done? If you had seen people breaking the windows, busting through barricades, running over Capitol police officers, pushing them out of the way.
Who knows?
When Cynthia McFadden first interviewed Ryan for Today last January, she had just been arrested.
The FBI raided my house and took my phone, my computer, and my MAGA hat.
Months later, she pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor for illegally entering the Capitol. Her lawyers were asking for probation, but she continued to post on social media.
You wrote, "Sorry, I have blonde hair, white skin, a great job, a great future, and I'm not going to jail."
Sorry, haters. Sorry, haters. I'm sorry.
Did you think that you weren't going to jail because of all those things?
No. No, I thought so because I had just talked to my attorney who had talked to the prosecutor, and I was so relieved. And then after that tweet, it's like, oh, you're screwed.
Do you think that tweet was directly linked to the reason you are going to prison?
I would say so. Yeah.
Seamus Hughes, Deputy Director of the Program on Extremism at George Washington University, has been tracking the January 6th cases.
Jenna Ryan's interesting because she's not interesting. In many ways, she's kind of an example of the rest of the 700 cases. An individual who was drawn into the process, kind of went down the rabbit hole and live streamed her crimes. These are folks that didn't think they were doing anything wrong.
Ryan admits she's used her notoriety to build a following. She also says her real estate business has suffered.
Do you have clients call you and say, "I can't work with you anymore"?
Yes, I did.
Still, she has expressed few regrets.
I would love it if people would change their mind and love me and respect the fact that I have a right to believe as I believe, that I have accepted responsibility. I'm going to do my time, and then I'm going to move on with my life.
This morning, Jenna Ryan is still...
Okay. Deli, we want to get you back in the fray. I mean, we haven't heard from you. You care to share any comments, your perspective on?
I'm not surprised about anything. As I said or mentioned in the beginning, Trump started something that is just lingering. And as that gentleman on your second recording spoke, that was just the beginning of it. When he started the divide and he started calling out the Ku Klux and all the other groups, just look at all the mass shootings. Just look at all these young 18-year-olds and younger that's getting a hold of these high-powered machine guns and the mines and what's going on. So he started something that's going to continue. You see what I'm saying? That's what I see. I see a continuation about to begin. I think there are still Trump supporters out there, whether he goes down or not, whether his cabinet goes down or not, and those are the Ku Klux and the other organizations. They are still on the rise, and I think they're growing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It sounds like a cult or something. No, but there is a cult going on. You better recognize.
Well, that's well put, Robert.
I believe that, I don't know I don't want to really pass judgment or categorize like that, but I think a lot of prejudiced people or that don't have the heart for humane, you know what I'm saying? I think that those kind of people are really afraid of people of color in any way
ever taken over nothing. They are inferior of that. You understand? So the only course of action they have is to form these groups and get rid of them.
Exactly. Can I build on that? What she just said? She is correct, because the fear that they have is that we would do the same things to them that they did to us. That is their number one fear.
That's why they're so fearful of the so-called replacement theory.
Exactly.
You wanna expand, you wanna excuse me. You want to elaborate on that?
On the replacement.
Yeah, you want, because I'm at a loss of words when you say replacement. I mean, make us understand.
Belief that us African Americans are going to replace them in power
as a majority, and they become the minority.
Yes. Yes,
what they're really scared of.
And what Kiana said, and the other young lady,
really
that
true.
they're fearful that we're gonna do to them what they did to us.
Right, that's what they're fearful of. They think that we're gonna respond to them the same way that they did our ancestors.
Exactly. You know, and seriously, there's a lot of people in the Klan that's in politics. I don't know if you noticed with the first clip and where they were closed up on Trump when he was speaking, like on that plexiglass. I don't know if you realized there was like very subliminal like of a the Confederate flag. Like you kind of had the X in there, but you like it was very faint.
Oh no, they brought that into the
the Capitol building.
In the Capitol building. They brought that into
no,
it's not.
Remember when he was? If you look at that video again when Trump was speaking after Giovanni, right? If you kind of look at the plexiglass a little bit and like really closely, you kind of see it faintly, like the lines, the X lines.
You have to play that again.
Yeah, you do. I want to see that, but
of the Confederate flag.
When Trump speaking, you talking about when Trump was on
when Trump was speaking, you saw a reflection of the Confederate flag.
Exactly.
You said a reflection because people in the audience they have Confederate flags. They
right
into the plexiglass. It was very faint, but you could see it.
Somebody probably was shining from somebody.
I'm not surprised. It's a bat signal, just like make America just like make America great again. That is, when has it been great for us? So that's a cat call from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Well, the order of their flags anyway is the Confederate flag, the Trump flag, then the American flag.
Right.
If you ever see any of their rallies, that's the order that their flags are positioned in.
Well,
the Confederate flag, Trump flag, then the American flag.
And what does that tell you? He is a product of that comes before him, and our country will always be last. That is not their priority. The country is third. It's third in the equation.
He's first. The racism is second, and the states is last.
Well, he stems from that, from racism, from prejudice. Yeah. It's just not racism, it's prejudice overall. Donald Trump
it's racism.
is an equal opportunist. Well, he's an equal opportunist because he's prejudiced towards people. He's prejudiced with in regards to race, age, and gender.
So no, he's racist, he's sexist, and he's ableist. So those are your things.
He's all of that, but on top of that, he is Trump first, no matter what.
No matter
That's
what.
right.
Absolutely.
Because he laid in bed with our enemies and sold out the U.S. government. Everything about us. He traded us off for $1, baby.
I personally think he's been selling secrets.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Can I say this? I
wouldn't
think
be
he
surprised
needed a
unless they
Trump.
did.
He
He needed
compromised
a
our
Trump
country,
because
and that's why we are in turmoil. You know, these other countries, to them, the United States is sleeping, and that's how they're able to do all these terrorists, because they're night. They're not paying attention.
You know what we're also not paying attention to as well is we're sitting here and we're talking about Trump.
Yeah.
Trump has not done anything that he has not done, but because we weren't really in his circle or he wasn't in our face all the years, but what he's done in the presidency is what he has done in his private life, in the business world.
Yeah.
This is why, like he even told, like, if you ever can find the clip, and I wish I knew where it was, where he said back almost 25 years ago, he said that one day if I was to ever run for president, I would run under the Republican banner because they're the stupidest of the party. And they will believe anything that I say.
I think that was back in 88 or something like that when you said that.
Yes, sir. I know it's like about 25, 30 years ago is when he actually said that. When they asked him, because you got to remember, he was pumped up way back in the day because he was known for his real estate business acromens.
He had
so this ruefulness that we're talking about him as being president, this is nothing new. This is who Trump was. We just didn't know him like this.
But the sad thing about it is
want.
that whatever Trump blames somebody else for is what he's actually doing, and people are too. They just glossing over the fact that the man is telling you outright, point blank, what he's doing.
Listen, this is what I was about to say. That's why we needed a Trump. You would rather be seeing the person trying to stab you instead of getting stabbed in the back.
There
Do you get what I'm saying by that? You would rather it that way. And I was trying to say, I never seen so many minority people against Trump until he ran for president. Before that, everybody was his friend. Then as soon as he started running for president, you got the shade room, you got all types of black celebrities coming out and outing the dude, calling him racist, and you never seen it before. I think he should get in trouble for saying to grab him by the pussy.
To them. Because if you was to show me your true colors while I'm in your hotel, I'm not staying in your hotel. So he was buddy. Right. He's buddy if you got money. But if you're somebody who's not well off, he could not stand you. He wouldn't even give you a piece of tissue to blow your nose.
So let me
or to wipe your ass.
Even if you have money, he didn't care. You see what he did to Steve Harvey, thought he was going and hey, Trump said come to his party at Mar-a-Lago, and Steve was supposed to celebrate his birthday party. Said he went to go shake Trump's hand, he turned his back and looked at some picture like Steve wasn't there and whatnot. And Steve was like, yo, I think I made a big mistake going to this thing. I should have listened to my wife and did my birthday party instead of going there.
Now let me stop you there. Now, again, this is not nothing new. I think the world is just taking off their blinders as we spoke earlier. I don't think Trump has ever been pretending to be anything that he is not. I think that we've been pretending that he is not who he really is. I think that we've been making excuses for him. He's not making excuses. Everybody's making excuses for his behavior. He has always been who he is. And then furthermore, we go back to The Simpsons again. Gregory did a show on predictive programming. The Simpsons predicted that there would be a siege of the Capitol building in one of their episodes. So again,
Don't
I don't
believe
know.
the hype, yo.
I'm truly trying to understand how
how the cartoons be on point with their
why are they in so in sync with Trump and what Trump does? Everything that they showed on their show regarding Trump has come to fruition. This is
That's
it's crazy.
not just with Trump, it's with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but we talking about
Boondocks did it with the
talking about
the chicken challenge.
And that goes back to what I told you, Uncle D. They're selected, not elected.
Okay, so as we talking about Trump, and everybody wanted to vilify Trump, and they said Trump did not send in the National Guards, and Trump could have came forth and he could have waved his hand and made all this stop. Trump was the one that incited the riots. But we saw during the rally, Trump, I'm gonna say he chose his words carefully. It was the rest of the individuals that were speaking to the crowd that was a little more aggressive and reckless with their words. One of them flat out said, "Let's have trial by combat." That sounds like me.
That was Giuliani.
So
Giuliani
again,
that said that.
if we're gonna bring Trump up on charges for inciting the riot, then why aren't we using that video with those are his words? Those are Giuliani's words. How come they're not using?
Giuliani's going down. He's going down. He's going down for his.
He's going down.
Okay, so let's
involvement.
So let's give number 45, our 45th president, President Donald Trump, and AKA the Donald, a chance to explain himself.
He can't.
So Sean, you were saying he can't explain it. Go ahead. And Tanya, you were saying it too.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Trump would say that would satisfy any of us that aren't fans of his. And what I'm going back to what I said earlier in the day, in the podcast, is where there's a process that's going on, and because we don't know all the legal ramifications, that's why they have to go through the matters the way that they do, because it's almost equivalent. And I hope I'm not getting off the beaten path. It's almost the equivalent of when we see someone, like we see a video of someone committing a murder or this, that, and the other, and we try to figure out how did the prosecution come back with second-degree murder as opposed to first-degree murder, when we can see with our eyes this, that, and the other, where there's intricate details about the murder that we don't know about yet, and there are certain weights of what you charge someone with that carries more punishment and has more of a principle than what we think the obvious is.
George Floyd.
Mostly times it's up to the judge. He always yelling. It's up to the judge whether he's going to make that, lower case or something where you doing more time.
Well, the judge can come in and give his opinion on the matter, but as far as when a prosecutor is trying to charge somebody with something, he's trying to charge them with something that he knows he can actually win.
Yeah, and that's the point with the attorney, with the AG. The AG hasn't come out to say he's going to prosecute Trump for this, because he wants to get all the evidence to make sure that it's a case that he can win, because it's such a political type of situation right now. The country
How
is so
political was
divided.
it when he was impeached
And
and didn't get convicted? How political
Because
was
the Republicans voted not to convict him. That's why.
They can vote. They voted against impeachment. They even voted against this committee. They didn't want this committee. So
another thing I want y'all to think about.
To dispute everything that the committee is saying. So all these hearings are going to be broken down by each step that they laid out, a 7-point plan on how they're going to cover how Trump and his enablers was involved in this process. Now, tomorrow was supposed to be the hearing on on the how he tried to undermine the Attorney General's office, but that got pushed back to next week.
Until
Thursday
Thursday.
is going to be about the attack on Pence. So they're going through each intricate step and give all the evidence that they have to support that one step for the American people to see, because so many of us only saw what happened on January 6th. We don't know all that went into the planning and the behind the scenes. And that's what these hearings are about, to give you what went on behind the scenes, because they had all these people come in and testify.
Or is this another elaborate scheme?
That's what I was about to say. Y'all don't find it funny that Trump had all the Democrats under investigation, and now he's the one under investigation now that the Democrats are running the office.
I read something earlier.
They didn't really
I read something earlier.
He didn't really have no damn grounds to have people investigate.
Is the current Attorney General the same Attorney General that did Trump elected? Did Trump place him there?
No.
This is a different one?
Yes.
I didn't wipe them all out.
The Attorney General is the same person that they didn't let into the Supreme Court when Obama was supposed to.
So this is not the one that Trump selected?
No.
Okay, so let me tell you guys what I read earlier. The Attorney General is the only one that could bring prosecution against the president when the president was in office. But let me tell you guys this also, and you don't take my word for it. Go ahead and check up on it. There is something in the Constitution. You cannot hold a president accountable. You can't have him prosecuted for crimes committed in office. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. But it's something to do with the judicial. It's something to do with the judicial system as well. I will go back to what I read earlier about Nixon in '73. They tried the same thing with Nixon. Nixon wasn't able to prosecute Nixon for the Watergate scandal. I believe that's what that was.
Yeah.
But what happened in that sense was, instead of him that's right, he resigned. However, upon what's his name, George Ford. What was the president that took over after Nixon? President Ford. His name was President Ford. Gerald Ford. I apologize. President Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford gave him a complete pardon. He pardoned him for all those things so that they could not try to prosecute him in any way. So I will say this to you guys.
He was going to get prosecuted.
Biden is not going to give him a pardon. He said it was okay for him to be prosecuted.
Let me finish, guys.
Okay.
Let me finish. So after he pardoned him, there was another interview that Nixon did in '77, and he basically said that he attests to this: a president cannot be tried. He showed that. He said that was shown by how they dealt with him. So I'll say this to you guys again. Is this whole thing about January 6th, is this a scheme, a ploy to try to bring Trump before the Supreme Court to try to hold him accountable for everything that he did before he was the president, while he was the president, and after president?
The things that he did, he wasn't. He was. How can I say this? He was most of the things. What land for the vote, for the right to vote, when he
voter suppression.
Yeah, not voter suppression. When he was telling people that the election was rigged, he did that as a candidate. Not as the president. He did it as the candidate.
He was actually he was still the president while all this happened.
But he was in the form of the candidate.
But he was still
president.
Yes, but
to be reelected.
but he was
he wasn't in president form. He was in
Nah,
candidate.
he still opened up an
no,
investigation on Hillary's emails while he was the
even if
president.
you're running for president and you happen to be
He's
the
still the
president,
president.
you are still the president. You don't step down from your role. You don't step down
until
from
the
your role.
21st, so the next year.
So even though he was running for the presidency, he was currently the president. Right. I remember Obama said in one of his speeches when he was running for what's his name, he told who was it, Romney? When Romney was out of control, he told him, it was one of those characters. He told him,
it was Romney.
He said, I am the president. He let him know, you trying to get to where I am. I am the president.
So you can be, as a president, you can be convicted of treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanors. So if these crimes,
let it finish.
If these crimes are treason, which is against our country, which that riot is treasonous. If they can prove treason, bribery, high crimes and misdemeanors, he shall go down in some kind of
and dereliction of duty.
He didn't participate in the events, yo.
That's what I'm about to say. If you go back and look at that,
he should be under the jail for how he treated the pandemic.
He should be under the jail.
I have a
Trump should have been prosecuted for a number of things. You can't prosecute this man for the crimes of his father. You can't prosecute him for the things that he said, because if that was the case, we have to prosecute everybody. I am no way a Trump supporter. I am just trying to point out to you guys, the judicial system has come up against Trump several times, and they have failed. They have lost.
Well,
and
they haven't come up against him for dereliction of duty, for the pandemic and the insurrection.
Well, I would say this to you guys: they have to prove it.
Well, when you have,
they haven't been able to make anything stick against him.
Here's what's going to happen right now. What's going to happen is that they're not going after him for insurrection. They're not going after him for that. They're going after him for scamming the people out of $250,000, lying to them, saying that he was going to use it for fighting the cases. That's what they're going after him for.
Not only that, because they have probable cause from the gentlemen that were incarcerated. They gave full testimony when they was, interviewed. They gave testimony that they were there because Trump called them there.
Called them, right.
Now, do you guys believe Trump to be a fool or a wise man?
He's a
fool.
You guys believe him to be a fool?
I think he's wise, man.
He's non-system. He's non-system fool.
He's a wise fool. He
ain't fucking wise. He's a non-system fool.
He should have been in jail a long time ago.
And
He's
what
definitely wise.
He's in
wise, but he does some foolish.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this to you guys, right? There is an adage. I'm gonna go ahead and I wasn't gonna drop this shirt, but now I'm gonna drop it so I can make this clear to you guys. Make sure you go and check out my new shirt. It says, "A wise man can play a fool, but a fool will never be a wise man." That is old adage. So Trump, he could be a wise man playing the fool. He's rather shrewd. He's shown you guys that on numerous occasions. For example, the first video that we showed, when you listen to Trump speak, he's choosing his words carefully because he knows later on they'll try to use this against me. He's not stupid. He's not stupid. He knows he's building his case in case they're building the case against him. I don't know.
Can I piggyback off of that? Just that topic.
Go ahead.
Gregory, that he may have been speaking to the crowd directly, but he was indirectly speaking to his people.
And they have that on recording. That's right.
But he didn't say anything to incriminate himself during that rally.
I'm gonna say for Donald Trump, we have him right here. Fake news, guys. Fake.
And that's what he's been screaming all out.
He's fake himself.
He's and he would recognize it, so he knows. So let's just call it what it is. Now let's think about this. Trump, he's told you guys a lot of things. He's shown himself to be a lot of things as well. Trump has also came forward and he told you guys in rallies and everything else, this and that will happen. He told people beforehand they was going to try to steal the election. Why do you think he was saying that? Because he knows it's possible to steal an election because they already did it. They did it to Hillary. That's why he was aware that it could be done and it was going to be used against him. They just flipped the script on him and did what he did to Hillary. The reason why Trump started screaming fake news a long time ago, because he didn't want you to believe anything that the news media had to say against him. That's why. Twitter stopped him from tweeting because they knew he was becoming more powerful. He was gathering an even stronger allegiance on through Twitter. He was able to connect with people through social media. He didn't need the national forum. He didn't need to be on TV. He could say whatever he wanted to say on that platform. They shut it down. To this day, Donald Trump is still tweeting under the guise that it's Donald Trump Jr. If you listen to the tweets of Donald Trump Jr., it sounds a lot like Senior.
Hey, did you guys hear about that store online? One Stop Shop? EmporiumPlus.org. Go over there now, where you can find the latest fashions and the Dr. Parrish Youth Serum, Still a Man, a Dr. Parrish Ladies First, SOS Support Our Sisters, and Envy Forever. Go, gravitate to the fashions that will make you look better.
Go ahead and finish this up. Let me get you guys' last opinions, whereas this is concerned. So again, I'm going to ask you one by one. We're going to start with Patsy. And guys, be brief. Do you think these current trials are about what happened on January 6th? Or is it because they want to prosecute Donald Trump? Patsy, go.
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Okay. Sean, go. Sean, you still with us? Okay. Gregory, go.
I'm gonna say that they want to prosecute him because he tried to prosecute Hillary. And I'm gonna say it's all fake news.
All right. Josie, go.
I think it's both.
Okay. Robbie, go.
Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Let me leave you with this. In about 15 months, 15 to 18 months, you guys better hope your electricity is working, because we are in the blind to what's yet to come. So I say it's both, but there's a bigger agenda.
Well put. Deli, go.
I agree with the ladies. I think it's both.
Okay. Bird, you still with us? Timmy, go.
I'm gonna say both, because he's going to be prosecuted in New York and in Atlanta. They don't play down there in Atlanta.
All right. Let's go, Tanya.
Yep. I say both, but I also say that there's a bigger agenda about the war.
Okay. Sean, are you back with us? Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
I had
so
stated, I stated, I was started off piggyback. I agree that is both with Patsy, but I know that everyone else said that. So
all right,
I agree that is both.
So you're standing your ground. You believe it is both.
Yes, sir.
Was Shannara with us? So
No.
that wasn't all right. Kiana, I guess you're the last person there. Bring us home.
I think that is both. And I agree that there is a larger agenda and we need to learn how to plant some vegetables and start lining up your cabinet with a bunch of stuff, because these days are coming to some kind of end, and what was happening before is not going to be how it will be in the next year or two.
Yep.
So
the last days.
I'm gonna leave y'all. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. So think about this. Think about this. If to present day, Donald Trump is the scariest thing that has ever happened to America, let me present something to you guys. Suppose Donald Trump, the same way Donald Trump is the puppeteer, he's pulling everybody else's strings. Suppose there's someone even greater that has even worse views than him pulling his strings. This has been the Still a Man podcast show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Join us next week. God bless you all.